Let's begin by reassuring that everyone knows just what the princess syndrome is. Princess syndrome is used to describe spoiled brats who are dependent, self-centered, and rely more on materialistic things and their looks than anything else. They expect life to be one big fairy tale, starring themselves. It is said that the princess title became popular because in the movies, the queens are portrayed as being old, mean, and ugly. Otherwise, they have all the power, whereas a princess is young, beautiful, has power, but not too much power. Therefore, being a princess is just so much more appealing. The whole princess syndrome was said to have originated through yours truly, Walt Disney. Now, if you're thinking what I'm thinking, something like, oh, so your child's a spoiled brat, you need something other than yourself to blame, so why not choose Disney, right? Well, at least that's what I'm thinking. The Disney Princess franchise is being held responsible for setting unrealistic goals for young girls and creating a faulty mindset of what life is supposed to be like. Little girls are beginning to actually believe they are princesses and are setting themselves up for disaster later in life. We're gonna stop right there, and first of all, take a look and not confuse the difference of a house and a castle. If you were not born in a building similar to this one, chances are you are not a princess. I don't hear anybody saying because Disney uses castles, they're setting unrealistic expectations in reality. Just because you're raising a Honey Boo Boo child does not mean that Princess franchise was the creator of Little Terror. I mean, sure, if the Disney princesses were in fact made into real people, they would be rather offsetting. But is that really an issue? Every time I draw a person, I didn't have people looking over my work and being like, oh my god, if that was a real person, do you know what they'd look like? No, I don't know. Why? Because it was made up in my mind as an imaginary character, not a real person for you to try and model. Now, let's take a look into the real matter as to just why these princesses are said to be where all the blame should be placed. We'll start out first to see what the critics have to say about yours truly, Snow White. Snow White is said to show girls that they have to do nothing. She stays home, is saved by dwarves, then takes care of them and acts as a motherly figure. She is envied for her beauty and poisoned. She then needs to be saved by her prince. This shows girls that rape is okay, as long as you're sleeping. This is where I stopped and said, wait, what? Because Snow White was poisoned, fell into sleep, and she was kissed to wake her up, that means rape is okay? That is a bit far-fetched, I think. Second, do these people know that Snow White was originally written by the Brothers Grimm in 1812? Do you know what women could do in 1812? Well, not a whole lot. For that, Disney was right on the lines. Disney produced it into a Disney featured film in 1937. After 1812, yes, but still 76 years ago. Next is Cinderella. The critics say Cinderella shows girls that you need to do nothing in life but cook, clean, and eventually a prince will come and save you, and you will get married. She was only a dumb girl who got everything simply made and handed to her by her fairy godmother. She teaches them to be dependent and a housewife and nothing more. First, I'd like to point out that Cinderella starts as a servant to her stepmother and sisters. Yet, she stays mostly positive and maintains kindness to her family even though they treat her so poorly. When given two extremely difficult tasks to complete before she could attend the ball, which they thought she'd never complete, Cinderella jumps on it and completes them with the help of her friends. Now just because the fairy godmother comes in to save Cinderella, that does not diminish the point that she still has always busted ass and kept her part of the deal. After all, Cinderella could not choose the life that she was given. In the end, she was rewarded for her bravery, kindness, and keeping positive. Next is Ariel. Ariel, the mermaid princess, who has everything she could possibly ever want in life. She shows that it is okay to compromise with evil and give up on your family, your talents, and everything you know for a guy you don't even know. You can turn your back on your home and your family at any time that you want. A few things to start out with. As first, Ariel was the first princess to actually save the prince. Sure, it caused some trouble in the end, but it still counts. And yes, Ariel does sell her soul to Ursula, whom she knows is a sea witch that can cause a major facepalm. But Ariel is also 16. How many girls do you know only do smart stuff when they are 16? Also, the mer people were, in fact, against and discriminatory against humans. Ariel took a stand, proved that not all humans were bad, or could be judged the same. Sure, Ariel makes a few mistakes throughout the movie, but she still tries her best to keep up her end of the bargain. She makes mistakes like many other teenagers do, and did something stupid for a boy. In the end, though, her prince falls in love with her for who she is, and not for her talents and what she can do. And she taught us all a lesson on why we shouldn't sell our souls. Next is Princess Belle. Belle, the girl who is self-absorbed and ends up with an abuser. It shows young girls that underneath an abusive shell, there's a really nice guy somewhere. She ignores Gaston and ends up with the Beast, who was a guy just like him to begin with. This teaches girls that it is okay to be with an abusive guy, because someday he is gonna change. He is gonna become the guy that you actually want him to be. First of all, is there really anything wrong with a movie that starts out with a girl that reads books? To me, I don't think so. It is about a girl who has a great relationship with her father, and she would do anything that she could to support him. While everybody else in town is swimming over Gaston, she is not, because she does not like the ignorance of him, and she puts herself above him. When her father goes missing, she goes after him. She finds his horse and follows it to an unknown palace. This is where she finds the Beast. The Beast has her dad locked as a prisoner, and Belle offers to take his spot as a prisoner. Now, I've heard a lot of controversy over this part on why does the Beast need to keep a prisoner? Well, I'm gonna go somewhere along with, if he didn't keep a prisoner, then Disney would not have had a movie to make. And to me, I think that's a good enough answer. Many people here say that she falls in love with a guy who is just like a son, but really, that's not the case. Belle begins to grow on the Beast, and she asserts herself towards him. The Beast begins to change into what he wants to be, and that is what makes Belle fall in love with him. She didn't come into the castle, be held prisoner, and say, gee, since I'm a prisoner here, I might as well fall in love with you, because you might be a prince. Second of all, never in the movie did I ever see the Beast abuse Belle. In the end, the good and kind-heartedness of someone else brought out the good in someone else. And it just so happened that he turned out to be a prince. While I was growing up, I watched the princess movies just about as much as a person could watch them. And I honestly don't think I noticed even one of these things. So, if you're stuck raising a diva, maybe it's time to look elsewhere. Is it spoiling habits? Are you creating something that shouldn't have been a problem? Maybe it's overall just the parenting in general. There are factors everywhere that influence everyone. They're on TV. They're in magazines. But I just don't think they're in the princess movies.